Bring on the co-founder and CEO of ThredUP, James Reinhart, joins us right now. And James, congrats on the debut, man. Always good to see a pop, I'm sure. But talk to me about the growth that you've seen in the pandemic and the growth that you've seen in sellers on your platform through all of this.
Yeah, well, great to be here. And yeah, the pandemic was tricky year in 2020. But I think the value proposition that we had for sellers is total convenience. Right, to use ThredUP, you just fill up the bag that we send you, and you send it back to us, and we do all the work. And so, we've been seeing really strong demand from sellers and from buyers, throughout 2020, in what was a challenging year, and looking forward to the recovery.
The growth in resale is something we saw even before the pandemic. Looking at your numbers of 14% pop last year in terms of revenue, how much of the growth that you have seen, though, is about consumers being more cost conscious? How much of it is about this push to maybe narrow their environmental footprint, try and find ways to be a little more sustainable?
Well, yeah, and I think the growth in our business last year was compared against the broader apparel industry, which was down double digits. So given our growth numbers in 20, felt like the company was quite resilient, and I think that speaks to what you said, which is consumers are looking to be more sustainable. I think ThredUP provides great brands at great prices, but we also do that in a sustainable way. And when you look at young consumers, millennials, Gen Z. The climate and sustainability is a really important part of their lives, and I think that's why they're moving on to secondhand platforms at the rate that they are.
Yeah, let's dig into the growth numbers a little bit more, too, because you said you had 1.2 million active buyers at the end of last year. That was up 24%. On average, they would buy things, 3.2 orders, the exact number on orders in the year. So when you think about growth, is it going to be more orders from your existing customers? Because 3 orders in a year doesn't necessarily seem like a lot. So what do you see in terms of the upside there versus attracting new customers to your platform?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's 3.2 orders per year, but remember, these customers are buying 4 items per order. And so, 12 items per customer per year is actually pretty good in the retail world. And so we actually feel pretty good about where customer engagement is today. I definitely think that as our platform expands and as our brand awareness expands and as we invest in marketing, I think we can see that number go up. But we're always going to be adding new customers to the platform. I think even in a pandemic to add 24% more active buyers, I think is a mark of a company with a bright future. And I don't know if we're heading into the roaring 20s, as some people say, when we come out of this. But we feel pretty good about the inflection in the apparel market that's coming.
James, you talked about the shift in the thinking, especially among younger consumers, about what they buy and how sustainable it is. And we've seen a lot of brands sort of shift their branding to, if you look at the luxury market, for example, names like Gucci or Stella McCartney partnering up with a reseller in RealReal. And I wonder whether you see opportunities, partnerships with some other brands too, as a lot of these companies are now looking to find ways to sell their clothes when consumers are saying, look, it's just not environmentally sustainable.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a big part of our story. We now work with 21 different brands and retailers. Everybody from, we power the secondhand experience on Walmart, to circular, fashion with a brand like Athleta or Madewell. And so, yeah, we are aggressively, going after brands and retailers to help them be more sustainable. And I think the customer is telling them that they want more sustainable options. And I think ThredUP can really be well positioned to help these brands and retailers do that over time. And I think the fact that our platform serves 35,000 brands across 100 categories means that the market opportunity in front of us, for these partnerships, I think is pretty large.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not the first one we've seen come to market. Poshmark, another one of those resale platforms, more than doubled on day one, but down about 60% since then. And interestingly, kind of similar, they noted that they don't have a lot of men on their platform. You guys, women's and kids. Is that an opportunity out there? What's the main difference in terms of why maybe men aren't being targeted when it comes to maybe consignment and resale?
Yeah, I mean, I think the men's market is much smaller. Women tend to make up about 85% of the secondhand apparel market. So men's is a much smaller segment. And there's really 2 reasons why men's doesn't work as well. One is we tend to wear the same 4 colors, not this one, But blue, black, brown, and gray. And the demand curve to swap out one blue sweater for another isn't particularly strong. And then the other piece is that guys, we tend to wear our clothes out more, and so by the time it gets to a resale context, the quality is not as good. And so I think those are the two primary reasons that the men's market isn't as big as the women's market.
Well, James Reinhart, it's good to talk to you today. ThredUP co-founder and CEO.